Happy New Year, everybody, and I hope that 2025 may all your wildest dreams come true. I've been spending time with the Audi Q3 35 TDI, and this car is a hit and miss. And the one thing that I've noticed is that this premium SUV segment is somewhat dying down, and Audi have a lot of work to do if they want to keep up with that fight. With that being said, this is not a bad car. This is a great car. There are just some things I do not like about it. First, obviously, there isn't an S-Line kit as standard, so this does look a bit poor for spec. It's not a problem, right? But no, man, I really wish that there was an S-Line kit, but I do know even in the competition. So yeah, let's get into the video. I'm going to take you around the exterior, the interior, as well as the drive, and obviously my overall thoughts about what the Q3 is all about. But gee, man, I do really think that these people need to put in a lot of work. Now, the exterior is where the disappointment starts for me, and I think I mentioned it earlier on when I told you guys that I think that an S-Line kit would have made this car 10 times better. I've seen what Reba was driving this December. It was also in a Q3 Sportback S-Line. Mpoma Hlangu also Q3, SUV S-Line, and they look really good. And I think that is the one thing that you need to take when you do get these cars. This is the key. However, it is keyless start, keyless entry into the car. You've got this chrome that runs around here on this really bland grille, really, which is black, but I do feel that this chrome does break color and gives it more character. You've got air vents here, which are non-functional, and why, I have absolutely no idea. When last you guys see a washer? I haven't seen those in a long time, actually. You come to the side, and then you've got these black bits that go around here. And on this car, I think it will work better on a black car. With this red paintwork, it does pop out, it does stick out, and I'm not quite a fan of this, to be honest. Got these 19-inch alloys, which are quite bland, not really inspiring, and that's, to be honest, I do not like the design of this alloy. I do think if it was black or something else, I think would have really popped out on here. We've got these tires. I really enjoyed it. That's the one thing though, as much as they don't look good, it's really comfortable. These 19 inches, you can basically get onto any terrain without having to worry, as opposed to those on 20 inches where obviously the profile is much lower. We've got this big wing mirror here with an indicator. Chrome effect goes again across the entire car, breaking that entire color silhouette, and I do quite like that. Some piano black elements over here. You've got keyless entry into the car, which is quite cool. Then these roof racks, and that's essentially what the exterior looks like. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I just do think that give an S-Line a standard, and you've got a winner on your hands. And yeah, because for the price of this car, 832,000 rand for this car, when you look at the cousin, the Volkswagen Tiguan, you can get a really properly spec'd Volkswagen Tiguan with essentially the same power under the hood. And I mean, that will also it looks nicer, it's much fresher. So I do feel that an S-Line kit on here should have been standard. But anyway, let me turn the car around for you guys, and then I'll show you the interior before we go for a drive. So when you come to the rear, you've got these really good looking LED tail lights. I do like the way Audi makes their lights. I do think that they've got one of the best lighting signatures in the game. You've got a Q3 badge up here, as well as your 35 TDI. So what this means is that this is a 110 kilowatt and 340 Newton meters of torque. And that's what the 35 TDI essentially stands for. I'll tell you guys about the engine later on in the drive, but I just thought I'd mention that. You've got an electronically operated, you guys, I like my tow bar. Electrically operated tow bar, and decent amount of boot space in here actually, which is quite impressive. I have traveled with quite a lot of people over the December period. My son, my partner, everything was really fitting in there. This boot this boot is adjustable. You do have this spare wheel on here, your biscuit, essentially, should you run into some emergencies. But I do appreciate this boot space a lot. I have been putting a lot of things in here. Then obviously you've got this, your boot lip, just to essentially help you get stuff out of the car, which is quite impressive. Electrically operated, which is quite cool. So yeah, let's jump inside and I'll tell you guys everything about the interior. That is where most of my frustrations also come. Besides not having a S-line exterior, that interior for me, it's lackluster, unfortunately. So you join me inside of the Audi Q3, and I mentioned that it's a bit lackluster, and I think why I mentioned that is the reason that you've got these, and I struggle to understand why we still have these in such a premium compact SUV. And this is the one thing that I've really have not liked about this car. The seats are comfortable, don't get me wrong, they're really comfortable. The rear ones will recline, and I'll show you later on. Then you've got this really nice leather wrapped steering wheel, multifunctional. And then these, I've mentioned about these stocks, this wiper stock, indicator stock, as well as the cruise control stock, which comes out of my 2013 Polo GTI. I had these in my Polo GTI, and I just don't know why they've kept it, but it is also nice that you've got a digital driver's display, which is clear and concise. You can cycle through various menus. You only have one option to view, and that's about it, really. You can cycle through your range, your date and time, almost everything really that you can cycle through. And you guys will see I've done 4,000 kilometers, and I've been averaging 6.4 kilometers throughout, which is quite cool. And these air vents, which are really nice and concise as well. They point at you directly. They're nice. You can manually adjust to how you want the wind to blow out. You've got your switch here for your lights, but always best to just leave it on auto, because it can auto sense rain, darkness, and all that stuff, which is nice. You've got a compartment on here for those who are naughty. You can put something in here. I'm not going to tell you what, but anyway, you can put something in there, which is quite cool. And then you've got physical buttons, which I actually appreciate. For your climate control, you've got physical buttons for your volume, you've got physical buttons for your drive mode selector, your traction, your auto start, your parking, as well as your hill descent control. I'll speak about that later on. You've got a wireless charger on there. You've got your park brake, your auto hold button, space in here. There's a reason that I have this, guys. Don't think I'm mad. There's a reason I have this, and it's because of this MMI system. It's beautiful. However, you need this. It's wired for your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto, which is something that I don't appreciate. I think that in this day and age, wireless should be standard, because every time you have your cables connected on here, it does tend to heat up your phone when your phone gets full. So that is the issue that I have with it. Otherwise, it's a beautiful infotainment. You just need to always wipe it because of all these piano black elements as well. I've got an Audi badge on there, which is quite cool. Decent amount of storage in that glove compartment, which is quite cool. 2 USB-C on here, as well as 2 in the rear. Space in here, 2 cup holders on here. We've got a massive panoramic sunroof, which is gorgeous, brilliant to operate, and I mean, it's just really gorgeous to drive when the sun blind is open. So yeah, let me jump in the rear and then I'll show you the rear. But it is lackluster, and that's only because of the seats as well as this stocks that are on the steering wheel. I do think that they need to do better in terms of that. When you jump into the rear, and this seat has been set essentially to my position, if you can see, and just look at this room that I have, the leg room that I have, the headroom is massive, and I mean, I have had my tall friend sitting in the rear and he was just as comfortable. You've got these nice cup holders on here for whatever drinks, which are small. I doubt it will fit big bottles on here. It's not really adjustable. I've tried it. And these seats, like I mentioned, they are reclinable. So you can bring it, you just pull a lever on here and you can kind of go back or just have it upright. So that is quite interesting, and that's about it really. And then you've got a 12-volt socket on here. You've got 2 USB Type-Cs on here, as well as your vents. And that is the rear. I think it's time we go for a drive. And that is where it makes up for those bad things that I've mentioned, because I think this car drives like a gem. So yeah, let's go. So what I don't quite appreciate is this diesel loudness. Just hear this. I'm in a diesel car. I get it, but there's no need for it to sound like a tractor. And with so much technology in this day and age, there is surely methods that they can use to make sure it doesn't sound like that. Anyway, the car has different drive modes. You've got off-road, which is something that I said I'll speak about in terms of the hill descent control. When you put it in off-road mode, what then happens is that it just holds the revs and obviously provides a continuous amount of torque, which is quite cool. And I do appreciate that. And then you've got where I've always been in efficiency. Gee whiz, it will be really efficient. At one stage, I got 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Audi codes that you will get 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and I did get it. So I do feel like that is really impressive. That amazed me. In fact, I think I've done, like I mentioned, over 4,000 kilometers since I got the car, and at an average of 6.4 liters combined per 100 kilometers. But within certain trips, I could get as low as 4.8, 5 liters, 5.2, so depending on the trip that I was taking and how I was driving. But it just feels really comfortable to drive. The suspension in this car is lovely. You cannot complain about it. I mean, when I mentioned in terms of off-roading, we were going to the farm, and usually every December I've got a bakkie, so I was quite surprised when I went to the farm with this car, and it just soaked in that gravel road quite well. And obviously that off-road mode helping as well. And where there were descents, you just slap it into hill descent control mode, and it will essentially break the car down going downhill for you, which is something that is only available in this kind of entire segment. I have not seen it in the X1, I've not seen it in the X2, the Mini Countryman, or the GLA. So this is something that I do quite appreciate. Where I think the GLA 200D trumps this car is in terms of just that loud engine noise. That is completely quiet. You don't hear that it's a diesel. It takes off easily. This would take off, it struggles a bit, and that is maybe just because it's 110 kilowatts and 340 newton meters of torque. But this 7-speed dual clutch, nothing to complain about really. I do quite appreciate it. So yeah guys, I think they've done, it's a good car, it's a great car. 832,000 rand for this exact model, and what you see for that 832,000 rand is exact what you see on this car. So there isn't any optional extras on this car, nothing. This is what you get on this car. So I just think, for me, like I mentioned earlier in the video, just take that S-Line pack and I think it will look 10 times better. Yes, you will then get the likes of, you know, the bigger wheels, which will then maybe compromise your ride, but I think it does look good. But if you're not a person who's fussy about looks, and I think this will work for you. This is the Urban Edition, but I do think that the Black Edition will blacken out everything, delete the chrome, everything, and just make it look really, really good. Guys, I hope you have a fantastic new year ahead, and may 2025, like I mentioned, may all your wildest dream come true. You can do anything that you put your mind to if you work hard towards it. Don't forget to use the link in my bio, the description, to get a code from Naked, and who knows, you might save you some bucks. I'll be doing more giveaways with Naked this year, and we're going to be doing some amazing stuff throughout the year, to be honest with you. Now, before I give you my verdict, the competition, like I mentioned, BMW X1, BMW X2, the Mini Countryman, the Mercedes-Benz GLA, and I honestly do think that I would just rather take the BMW X1 over this. It does look much more modern. This looks like it's been around for quite a while. The X1 looks modern. The diesel variant is nice. Even if you go for the 18S, I think that even is even if you go for the petrol, sorry, that is also just as good, and it also returns great fuel consumption. So yeah, I think X1 for the win. This does look a bit dated to me. So yeah, as always, don't forget to always keep left and pass right, and let's keep growing the channel. Here's to 10,000 subscribers. Peace out.